I just realized that I forgot coffee beans at the store yesterday, so I have to use my Nespresso today. That is a sad realization. Oh my god. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not so much. Okay, that was not fun. Oh god. Got me spilling it everywhere. Oh my god. These first sips are hitting so much better now that the weather is cooler out. Like the mornings are in the 50s. And wow, the house is like freezing because I personally set the temp to like 70 myself. So then it's extra freezing because it's also just so much cooler out. It is September 17th. It's currently like 7 a.m. And it's been a while since I've picked up the camera, and especially since I've posted. There have been so many times since I last posted where I've picked up the camera and have recorded so many different vlogs. I've probably recorded anywhere from like 2 to 3 vlogs per month since June. And I think I only uploaded like 1 video in June. But there have been so many vlogs that I have, or maybe I didn't even upload that video in June. Maybe it was July. My Charleston vlog was the last video I uploaded, and that was in June that I went to Charleston. But I might have uploaded that in July. But anyway, it's been a while. I've just never, like weeks would pass since I filmed those videos, and I just had no desire to edit them. And I don't even know if this video will get edited. I'm hoping so. I feel like I'm kind of in that zone. And throughout the past several months, I've learned a lot. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, and I think, you know, not just with like my personal life, but also with business as well. And I've changed a lot of habits, both personally and in my business as well throughout the past several months, and it's really changed my life, you know, as of right now, this stage of life that I'm in. So with that, I kind of just haven't been forcing myself to do anything that I don't want to do. Like, I don't need to do extra stuff like YouTube, podcasting. I'd love to, but if I don't have the physical energy to do it, it's like you just can't force that stuff because it's all creative, and you can't force creativity, you know? It's just, there will always be something off about it in my head. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, if you try and force creativity, I feel like the audience will perceive that. Like, you could see right through that. And if you aren't able to show up as like 100% authentic, that's not, oh my gosh, authentically yourself, your audience is also going to be able to see right through that. So I just haven't been forcing anything. I've been doing the things that I really want to do and things that I need to do to keep my business afloat. But realistically, I started doing influencing full-time 2 years ago. And when I first started out, I was kind of in this mode of like, you know, I was just starting out. So I didn't have any money that I was making really at the time, like not enough money to support myself month to month, like a full-time job. So it took a very long time for me, not a very long time, but it took some time to get to that point of being able to support myself month to month and to make income from it. And that's kind of like with any startup. That's like, it's a very similar startup position in business. When you have a startup, you are either self-funded or you're getting funding from investors, but still you don't see like the return where you are actually physically making income for quite a few months after you just start. So that's how I was when I first started out. So it was kind of like this grind mode, this mode of like work all day, every day, work myself to the ground to really make this happen, which I probably didn't even need to do at the time, but that's what I did. And for the past 2 years, it's actually almost been three years coming up this January, so it's like over 2.5 years at this point. But I don't need to be in that same mindset anymore. And I've kind of came to that realization that I've been working myself to the ground when I don't need to be, and I haven't been like enjoying life and living my life like a 24-year-old and doing things. And I've just been in this crazy like routine and mindset for so long, thinking that that's the way that life should be for me, when in reality I don't need it to look like that. I don't need it to be like this crazy routine day to day like structure that I need to follow in order to be successful or have the same success that I've had, or to keep up with that, I guess. It just doesn't need to be that way. And honestly, my mindset has changed with work overall, just personally as well. Like, life is just too short. I don't really care to live in that mindset. I am just like, whatever. If money comes, money comes. There will always be different ways to make money. I don't want to get into a whole tangent about money, but it's just my overall mindset has changed with business, money, all that stuff in general. And I don't want to live my life the way like I was, at least in this season of my life. There's different seasons of your life for obvious reasons and for different things. And in this season of my life, I finally just want to enjoy my life while also still working normally, but like I don't need to be working myself to the ground like I was when I first started out. And it's finally time to just enjoy my life, like enjoy my 20s, because I will never get this time back. And this is what being in your 20s is about, you know, enjoying those young years of your life. And yeah. So anyway, that's just one of the many lessons that I've learned and things that I've been trying to adapt. And wow, that sun is coming in bright. Anyway, I've also implemented some new habits into my morning routine, like the ice bath that I was just doing on my face. That's been really great for anxiety, stress, letting go. And that's also just like a good skincare benefit as well. It helps with inflammation. So doing that like right in the morning when I wake up while I'm making my coffee has been so nice. Literally my entire morning routine, obviously aside from today because I'm filming, so that's taking more time, but my entire morning routine has kind of changed a little bit. I've been a little bit more lax with getting up so early. I haven't been getting up at 4:30 a.m. or 4:15 a.m. like I was. I've been kind of just letting my body rest and naturally wake up, and that's been anywhere from like 5 to 7. It just depends on the days and what I have going on. And that's still very early. Like, I'm very aware that's still very early, but in comparison to getting up at 4:15 a.m., and that's just been my life for how long now, it's a very big difference. But it's been very enjoyable. I've been having like slow mornings, and it's been a nice way to just slowly ease into my days and go about my days with intention, rather than thinking that I have to have this like structured day of hitting like all these bullet points on my to-do list, which is still of course necessary to a certain extent, but not to the crazy extent that I was doing before. So yeah, anyway, after I do my ice bath and make my coffee, I normally will get out my journal, and I think I'm gonna go sit out on my porch and go journal, and do all of that. I do all of this before touching my phone, before going on social media. This is like my no social media, no responding to people hour after I wake up. So I'm gonna go out, journal, and then I review my goals for like my 6-month to now goals and the breakdown of all of those, if that makes sense. this was a very long intro. We're just getting right into it though, I guess. Scratch the idea about going out on my deck. I think I said porch, deck. The cushions out there are damp. So, the couch it is. I don't even think I said what's going on today, what we're doing, what this vlog is even about, even though like you've seen the title, you can already see what it's about. I am getting ready because I'm heading over to Chestnut Hill. I'm going to meet Taylor over there for brunch at 11, but I'm going to head over a little bit earlier and then stop at a coffee shop, shoot content, do a little bit of work before meeting her for 11. So that's what we're doing today. That's not what the vlog is really about, although I'm sure I'll show you guys bits and pieces throughout the day of that. This vlog is definitely more chatty, just because we have so much to catch up on, I feel. And this won't be like an entirely in-depth catch-up video, I don't think, just because that would take like hours. I think the best time to catch up for the most part is now though. So as I've mentioned, there's been so many life changes that have happened recently throughout basically the entire summer. And I feel like most people that follow me on YouTube follow me from my other social media platforms. So you basically know somewhat of the life changes. However, I've never really shared on any platform exactly what has changed, just because throughout the past few months, like I said, I went through this whole thing of kind of like taking a step back from how much I was sharing before. And that wasn't like intentional. It was just kind of like I was taking a break from social media kind of altogether without taking a full-on break. So to me, it was like a break. Like I was setting boundaries for how much I was on social media, and I really haven't been on much at all. I've barely even been posting a lot on social media too. I've still been posting what would seem like a normal amount to most people, but for me, I was used to posting every day, like multiple times a day too, especially on TikTok. And throughout the summer, I really stepped away from that whole routine and hadn't been posting much at all. So therefore, I wasn't sharing much, but as a byproduct of not really posting much to begin with. But also, you know, with my breakup and that happening throughout the summer, that's also something that I've decided that I'm just like actually not going to be talking about anyway, because it's not just like my life, but it's also my partner's life, you know? So obviously I'm not going to share that. And I never even shared our relationship really ever to begin with on social media. So I definitely have decided like after that, I won't be sharing anything about the details of it really moving forward, at least for like right now. But all is well, all is well. That was not easy. All is well though, and it's been a whole process and journey of moving through that, but a ton of lessons that I had to learn in the process and that I have learned from that whole experience. And yeah, so we are in a better place than we were a few months ago for sure. And that's just been like doing the deep work, like diving deep into me and like my beliefs, the way I do things, like why I do things the way that I do, really diving deep into all of that. For me, journaling is the best way that I possibly could like understand my thoughts and feelings, and that's how I've always been. So especially in trying times, journaling has been something that I go to for comfort, clarity, understanding, all of that. And that's what I've been doing literally every single night. for the most part. There's been like a few nights here or there where I haven't done it, but I do a deep dive almost every single day, which is not always easy. But I will say that has been the best thing for me in this process because it's helped my growth and learning journey since the breakup tremendously. I feel like when sometimes people get in a breakup or something traumatic happens, it's easier to sweep any negative feelings or emotions under the rug and kind of like tell yourself you're going to deal with them later, or that it's not really that big of a deal. And I feel like what oftentimes happens for, I'm getting so hot in here, what oftentimes happening for most people is that they neglect that, and then it just continuously reoccurs and reappears in their life. And because you haven't dealt with those lessons, you haven't done the deep dives and understanding like why you feel the way that you do, you haven't really tried to take a moment to like feel and grieve. That's the time, like, people usually just revisit those feelings over and over and over again, and it's just continual lessons that will keep popping up until you learn them. And I can speak from firsthand experience that that does happen. It is true. It repeatedly has happened in my life. So really this summer I took the time to do the deep dive on not just stuff that's happened like recently, but stuff that's happened in the past. Tried to dissect it, and it's still like a work in progress. It always will be a work in progress, but the amount that I've learned in such a short period of time and the amount that I feel like I've grown in such a short period of time, I'm really, really thankful for doing the hard work, like going into all of that, because that is not easy. Like, if you've done it before, it is not easy. Many nights spent crying alone, which is fine. But again, like, that's just emotion, like deep emotions that have been swept under the rug for years, or, you know, emotion that I didn't even realize I had. Like, it all just comes up when you really do the deep dives. So yeah, that hasn't been easy, but it has gotten easier, and I'm so grateful that I decided to like really work on me and those parts of myself that I had been neglecting. Because overall it just makes me a better person. I get to treat myself better. I have a lot more mindfulness and understanding of the world around me, of myself, my feelings, when things come up, how I deal with them. So it makes me a better person, but also in turn it makes the world a better place, essentially, because it makes everyone else around me, like, I'm treating them so much better. You know, a partner, my parents, my best friends, it just makes me a better person all around. So I wouldn't take that back, because that, although it was hard, I would never take that back, because essentially it just helps you become a better version of you. Super corny, but it's corny for a reason. Usually corny things are true. I almost forgot that in this video too, I want to show you guys a little house tour. So this is gonna be like a really random vlog probably, but I really want to show you guys a house tour. Nothing really has changed, but as you can tell from the title, I am moving in almost a month. So I figured, you know, it's going to, I just had the cleaners here like last week, mid last week, to do a deep clean of the place, because my landlord came by to see what condition the place was in, because we were trying to work together to list the house again, so that I could get out of my lease here and somebody can come in and like take over, basically, so that I can save a lot of money throughout the next 3 months, because I would have already paid through September. February is already paid for, so it would be November, December, January. So yeah, 3 months. Or October too, 4 months. I literally told my landlord, I'm like, listen, and like my landlord and I, we get along. We're good. We we see eye to eye. So he is so understanding, and I'm so appreciative for that. We're trying to make something work here. Obviously, I don't want to screw him over. Like, I really can't. I'm in a lease, but I obviously would much rather save a lot of money throughout the next 4 months if I don't have to pay for rent here and my place in Florida. And that would just be helpful for me, but also like this place is going to be vacant either way. Like I am literally going to Florida. Oh yeah, so I'm moving to Florida again. This place is going to be vacant either way, so like why wouldn't, you know, if he can find somebody to like move in here before the holidays, like why wouldn't you want that? So I literally said to him, I'm like, please, if you find somebody like tomorrow, let me know, give me a week, and I'll be out of here. I have no idea, I have no plan for how I'm gonna make that happen exactly, but I will make it happen. If you need me to make it happen, I will make it happen. I would just, and for him, I'd rather like me get the shit end of the stick, even though like I don't look at it as that necessarily, because I would just much rather somebody come in here, and if they could find somebody literally tomorrow to come in here, that's amazing for both me and him. More so him, but for me, I'm looking at it as like, I don't care how much of an inconvenience it is for me to just like get all my shit out of here with like such short notice. I just look at it as like, I would be saving so much money in the long run, so I don't mind that whatsoever. So I'm praying, fingers crossed, that they could get somebody in here. I just also finalized my my plans for, not finalized, but mostly finalized my plans for moving to Florida. So we can chat a little bit about that too. So anybody that's been following along for a good amount of time would know. Well, first of all, you're probably like, Vanessa, you literally hated Florida. Why are you going back there? Yeah, good reason. Everybody, I love to confuse people. I love confusing people. I love keeping people on their toes. You never know what you're gonna get from me. And I think it's become part of my brand because that is literally my life at this point. Just, you gotta keep up. In order to know what's going on in my life, you just gotta keep up because it's ever changing. And what you think is going to stay the same for some amount of time, it doesn't. So I like to keep people on their toes, I suppose. But in all seriousness, literally moving has become a part of my brand. And while I say how much I hate moving, I think I secretly like it. It's such a pain in the ass. I just put myself in a position where it becomes a pain in the ass. Like, I sign leases for, you know, a full year thinking I'll be there for a full year. In reality, I should never sign like a full year-long lease ever again until I just buy a house, which is something I hope to do in the near future, because at this point I'm so sick of renting. I'm so sick of moving my stuff. That never becomes easier. That is definitely the part that is truly a pain in the ass. But really though, it's not that big of a deal. I've just learned to kind of like accept it. And overall with moving too, it's like, yes, that is like the part that's the biggest pain, but I really do enjoy moving and like switching up my scenery, and it is a little bit fun. Oh my god, not the smoke detector. So anyway, moving can be fun. I think it's all of like your mindset and what you make of it. And when I moved to Florida last time, last year was a really hard year for me. That was probably one of the hardest years I've had in years, since maybe high school. Like, depressive state type of year. Very challenging overall. So anyway, moving to Florida last year was my choice, but also like I wasn't moving for me. I was moving for my boyfriend's job, because otherwise we would have had to do long distance, which was something that I did not want to do at the time. So we ended up moving in together, and that was like in my opinion, that was so fun and that was an amazing experience. But I just kind of went into moving to Florida with this whole mentality of like, I don't want to do it. It was really stressful at the time. Like, life was kind of just stressful at the time. And I just did not have, I was not like in the best place to be going through a whole move, switching up my scenery, being away from family, being away from friends, being away from my normal routine of things. Like, it was just a really hard adjustment. Something I really wasn't anticipating, I suppose, or maybe I was anticipating it and it kind of just like I brought it to fruition because I had such a negative mindset around moving to Florida that I just never like really accepted it. So anyway, you guys know, like, it took me a really long time to even like get used to being there. It wasn't until I like really went to therapy. I think I started going to therapy in like January or February or something of this year, and my therapist I found in Florida. So it wasn't until going there that I finally started to like adjust to living there. I still was in the mindset though, like, I don't want to make friends here because I just plan on moving back to PA, and you know, I wasn't planning on coming back to Florida again, just because I had this like negative mindset with being in Florida and I didn't like love Tampa, and yeah, I just thought it was like overrated, all this stuff. So I just overall had such a negative mindset with moving there. So then that just, you know, was my entire experience because I never just accepted it. I never like leaned into it. I never made any friends there. Like, it was just a whole thing. I isolated myself for basically 6 months, got like super fixated on work, and it was just like a really unhealthy mindset that I went into, even more so than before I even moved to Florida. So yeah, that's kind of like why my whole experience, and like I shared stuff about my experience and why I was like so anti Tampa, so anti Florida. But towards the end of us living there, like before, it was only supposed to be 6 months anyway. Like, I still get that question, like why'd you move? Are you still in Florida? Like, that was only supposed to be 6 months. That's just how it was supposed to be. It was only supposed to be 6 months, move back to PA. And that wasn't something that, I don't know, that wasn't something that I wanted to do again this upcoming year. So anyway, you know, we go through the breakup, everything happens this summer, and then in July, I started kind of missing Florida, and I was doing all these deep dives, reflections, on the past year, stuff I kind of like neglected feeling for the past year. And in doing so, I just came to the realization, like, it wasn't Florida, it was me that was the problem. And towards the end of us living in Florida before moving back to PA, it's not that I wasn't looking forward to coming back to PA, because I certainly was. Right before we moved back, yes, I was looking forward to moving back, but that was like right around when I finally had gotten used to living in Florida and I had developed a really good routine. Still hadn't made any friends, but I was more comfortable with living there and I really enjoyed the routine that I had gotten into. And then we move. And I was, again, I didn't like look back and was like, oh, I'm so sad that we're moving. But I do have to admit, like, then moving back to PA here, it wasn't like that easy adjustment like I thought it was going to be. And, you know, again, it was just like a cycle of repeat moving and having certain expectations about moving back to PA and thinking like it was going to be amazing. And, you know, I had to fall out of this like depressive state that I was in, and it just wasn't my reality. So in July, you know, when I'm doing all these deep dives and trying to understand, you know, the past few years of my relationship and also, you know, everything that I've personally gone through the past 2 years and, well, 3 years maybe. Just like the past few years of my life, what has gone on, blah, blah, blah. So in doing that, I was like starting to miss Florida, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why am I missing Florida? What is this feeling? I don't know. So I kind of like let it sit for a little bit. I did like a whole deep dive on that, and that's where I came to this like whole realization about you know, me moving to Florida last time. It was like me. It wasn't Florida, it wasn't Tampa, it was my mindset. That was just the barrier between me actually enjoying my time there and giving it a chance versus just completely shutting it out right from the beginning and never giving it a chance, and then having this like negative experience with living there, and yeah, thinking it was like Florida and Tampa, but in reality it was me. And that was like my own issue. I was having technical difficulties there for a second, so I don't know exactly where I left off, but basically I think back in like August I had talked this over with my therapist. I let the idea sit about, you know, moving back to Florida this winter, and ultimately I had come to the like realization like, no, I really want to go back. I want to go back for me. I really want to have this like redemption, because I really do feel like I enjoy being there. And again, like I really did enjoy, you know, the routine that I was in towards the end of us living there last, or I guess it was this year, but last season when we were down. So I'm like, I really want to go back, but I want to do it different this time. I really want to really make the most of it, actually make friends down there, put myself out there, like, you know, do stuff that's like definitely out of my comfort zone, and that is kind of terrifying for me, but also like I realized that's kind of essential. You know, no matter where you're at, like it's important to make friends and put yourself out there. And it's not easy, especially post-grad, but I feel like it's well worth it. That's definitely a lesson that I had to learn here as well, because I really don't have a community here. And that's another reason why I'm like, I'm just gonna go for the winter, because I live in this 3-bed townhouse by myself now, and I love it here so, so much, but one, it's just absolutely too much space now for just one person, and two, I don't know anybody in my community here specifically. Well, I know my neighbors, but not well. They're also moving in October, but anyway, I'm like, I just don't know many people in this area in general. All of my friends, for the most part, are like pretty spaced out, and I have put myself out there a little bit to like make friends that are like semi close by, but still, it's like those friends will still be here, and I want to come back here to this like area when I decide to move back. But for right now, what I'm trying to say is that I could either spend the entire winter here where there's less stuff to do that I personally enjoy doing in PA, and I have a feeling I will just be sitting inside, and I feel like there's a good chance that I'd become quite depressed. I'm not like a depressed type of gal. Like, I'm not usually a depressed type of person. I do get highly emotional sometimes, but I don't usually like fall into a depression. I could foresee, after like what I've just gone through and everything, if I would stay here throughout the winter, where there's a lot less for me to do that brings me like joy. I just feel like I could foresee myself getting into pretty bad state of mind, and I don't want that. So I'm going to Florida. I just semi-finalized all of my details in terms of where I'll be living, which had literally worked out like perfectly almost. Actually perfectly. It wasn't a place that I had originally inquired about, but the guy that I inquired, or the person that owns the property that I inquired about, he was like, oh, my friend literally just did the same thing. It's like, well, I won't even say anything about it, obviously, but he's like, oh, my friend just did the exact same thing that I did, and like he hasn't even listed his place yet to rent. If you just want me to like send over his contact information, you guys can get in contact and like you could be the first person that stays there. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. So that, we just had a phone call yesterday. That seems like it's gonna be a really great fit. I just have to like officially sign like the lease and everything, and he has to just do like a background check and all that stuff. So 99% finalized with where I'll be living, which is really, really nice. This time too, I know I'll get questions about this. This time I'm just, I'm making it easy on myself. I'm like literally not stressing about this whatsoever. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be for me. This is supposed to be a complete opposite vibe of the last time that I moved to Florida. So this time I just am like, it's just gonna be so much easier to put my stuff in storage. I'm going to put my stuff in storage. Whatever I can physically put in my car is what I'm bringing to Florida. And if I absolutely need anything else, like there will be some stuff that I take to my parents' house that my mom can have like easy access to, that if I want something in particular that I didn't bring along, that she could just like mail it to me, which I just don't foresee being a necessity. Because I like things, but I'm also very aware of the idea that like everything, like it's not like all of the stuff that I have, it's just material items. Like literally it holds no value to me whatsoever. Things are just things to me. They're not like things that you absolutely need and can't live without. So I don't need the stuff that I have here. Gotta lose the attachment to items. I don't want to be attached to my things. So leaving my stuff here, I'm gonna put it in storage and say goodbye. And I got a fully furnished place, so that's really nice. I'm gonna be living in St. Pete too. So that's gonna be a little bit of a switch up. I did want that in particular because I still like, yes, I had this like kind of like resentment towards Tampa, but truthfully, I don't really love Tampa. Like I don't really think it is that great. But I loved aspects of it. I just don't think that it's necessarily my favorite city that I've ever been to. Again, there are aspects that I did really like about it, but overall, it's just not my favorite city that I've ever been to. And especially for living with Tampa, I feel like you really have to live in a very specific area to like really be able to like, well, for me and what I personally like want in a place, you had to drive absolutely everywhere to get to somewhere in Tampa from where I lived. And if you don't live directly in like downtown or Hyde Park or near Armature Works, there's really not too much around, and you do have to essentially drive everywhere. And even if you want to get to Hyde Park from downtown, you have to drive. Well, not have to, but most people probably would. It's not a very walkable city, and it's still up and coming. So there's not a ton of stuff there that I personally really enjoy. They're really lacking in the coffee scene in Tampa. Really, really lacking in the coffee scene. And that is a part of my life. So that's a huge, huge negative about Tampa, in my personal opinion. But on the other hand, St. Pete, which is so close by, is the complete opposite. It is extremely walkable. It is young, lively. There's a lot of really cool restaurants there. A lot of coffee shops that are very unique, and so many that I haven't tried yet. I have like the pier will be right there. Then you have like a close driving distance to the beach. You're close to Clearwater, Dunedin. Like it's just so much more ideal. And if realistically I want to go back over to Tampa, it's still such an easy drive to get from St. Pete to Tampa. It's not like driving in PA, it's a little bit harder in my opinion to get from like one place to the other because there's so much distance between, or I don't know, it's more trafficky. Like to get from the suburbs of Philly into Philly it takes like a whole hour probably to get there and a lot of traffic. Whereas Tampa, St. Pete, like yes, there's a lot of traffic, but it's so much quicker. So much quicker. And I'm used to driving far distances. So driving like 30, 20, 40 minutes to go somewhere in Florida is nothing in comparison to doing that here. I do that way too often here, to get to places that are like literally just a few miles away. So anyway, that's the rant about Tampa. That's my living situation. I still don't have, like, those are all the details that I truly have figured out right now. Nothing really else. I'm going to be moving at the end of October. I don't know exactly what day yet. That's just still up in the air. It just all depends on like, am I going to drive, and if I can like find somebody to drive with me, which I'm gonna ask Taylor today if she wants to potentially take a little road trip down with me. But anyway, I'm going on a bachelorette trip to Nashville the weekend before I move. So it will be like the 20th to the 22nd. I'm going on a bachelorette trip in Nashville, and then sometime that week I will move to Florida. So that all those fine details are still up in the air, but that's like the big life updates right now. I know I've been rambling on, and also I changed my hair color. Anyway, there's just so many things, like probably so much that I missed, but those are like the big things that I feel like I wanted to touch on. So I don't know. I'm really excited though. Like, it's my mom keeps saying to me, she's like, who even is this girl? This girl that's talking about Florida the way that she is so completely different than the one, like the girl from like a year ago when we moved, or like even a few months ago when we were about to move back. And I'm like, good. Like, I shouldn't sound the same. I don't want to sound the same, because I didn't like that perspective that girl had. I didn't like her mindset and where she was at, and she had a lot of work to do, and she still has a lot of work to do, but we are so much further along, I feel like, than we were a few months ago. But that's good, basically. That should be the case. I want that to be the case. It's 8:42. I'm gonna finish getting myself ready here. Maybe if we have time, if we have time before I head out, I will do like a little house tour. But maybe that will just have to wait until I come back from brunch. So I'm gonna finish getting ready, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. I got home not too long ago and literally changed right into comfy clothes, and it's like almost 3 o'clock. After I'm done filming this, I probably will just body shower right away, take off all of my makeup, and then like officially wind down for the evening. I've had like an ongoing headache for quite a few hours now, and it's like continuously progressing, and I think it's just because I prolonged eating, waiting around for brunch, and then we didn't end up eating until like almost 12:15. Like, the wait ended up being so much longer than they told us, so I waited around for a while to eat like my first meal of the day, which is like something I just don't do. So anyway, I'm gonna show you guys the little house tour right now. I haven't even gone around and like picked up anything. I'll like briefly pick up a few things throughout each room, but I'm just gonna show you as is, because I probably sometime this upcoming week am going to start searching for a storage unit in the area, and then once I find one, slowly but surely, I'm just going to start taking stuff over there, so when I do have to move out of this place, it's not like a whole headache to move everything all at once. So that will be nice and convenient to do that over time rather than all at once. And so and also too, I'm going to start selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I'd rather just get all of that stuff taken care of sooner rather than later. So I want to just get the house tour kind of out of the way, because there's nothing going to really change between now and you know, when I move, other than me selling stuff and moving stuff out. So this is like the best condition it's going to be in. And we didn't even fully finish the house to begin with, which I'm glad now that I didn't, because I would have just, all the work that I would have put into it would have just gone, not to waste, but you get what I'm saying. It just would have been like all to pack it up and move again anyway. So let me show you guys the master bed. It's funny because when I moved in, I for sure thought that this was going to be the first room to be done. And this is like probably one of the least done rooms in the house, other than the guest bedrooms, which are not done whatsoever. And I hope this isn't too shaky, but when you walk in, like this room, I don't know if you guys can tell, is gigantic. It is so huge, such a great space. And yeah, there's just so much that I wanted to do with this space and then never did. I wanted to refurbish these nightstands, never got to it, never bought lampshades for the lamps. And here we are. And then this is the master bath. So we have a full bath here, toilets. There's like a toiletries closet behind the door, and then double sinks here. And then well, I guess it's like this is the only walk-in closet, but the first closet in the house. So everything is in here. And then you go out into the hallway, and in here is washer, dryer, all of that stuff. And immediately to the left of the bedroom, there's the second full bath. So there's a full bath in here. And this was like the guest bath technically. And then we go, well, first of all, there's another linens closet here, which is really nice. We just have some extra stuff in there. And then in here is the technical guest bedroom, but this is the real life current state of the guest bed. We barely even touched that. This was Chris's gaming room, and then now it is all of my closet sale stuff like we didn't ever really unbox and stuff. This is like my selling room. So like things in here are stuff that like I'm just gonna pack up and put in storage, sell, gotta donate, give away, stuff like that. But there is a second closet in here as well, and in the other bedroom. I didn't show that, but I'm going to be selling my dressers from my apartment from last year. And then this is where I have like the standing desk and treadmill pad, which is really nice. I think I'll be keeping both of those items because I do really like having them. We just came from upstairs. Now we come to the middle floor, which is where I spend probably the most amount of time. And this is like the floor that's the most finished, but honestly, like there's still shit out. Like I'm not picking this stuff up right now. This is like the real raw state of the house. So yeah, this is like, again, the most finished space probably. And then there's a half bath down here as well, which is very hidden, so you often forget about it. But yeah, this is just another half bath, or I guess like the first half bath. And then like, again, I love this house so much. There's so much space. It's like beautiful. It's perfect for like 2 to 3 people, possibly. I would say it's perfect for 2 people in my opinion, but I have a lot of stuff, so maybe not for some people. It might be too much space for 2 people, but anyway, this is like the dining setup. Love this little coffee nook over here. This is like the place that I was dreaming of designing the most, especially when we first moved in. I like designed this probably like first and foremost, and I love how it turned out so much. And then this is our little, or I keep saying our, I mean, it's just me here now, but this is the deck, which I did spend so much time on throughout the summer, and I'm still using on cooler nights, like warmer, cooler nights and mornings. I love this couch so much. I'm definitely planning to keep this whole setup here, and then I'm just going to sell this set here, I think. But I'm still not over this whole setup. This was like my dream console. As you guys know from like previous posts of mine, I'm obsessed with like Facebook Marketplace and vintage finds. I'm out of breath. What I'm trying to say is I'm obsessed with vintage finds and Facebook Marketplace. So a lot of stuff that I found via those mediums or through Home Goods. So there was a few pieces that like I did really want, like that were investment pieces that I'm really glad that I purchased, but that were not from Facebook Market or Home Goods or vintage. So if you guys ask for any specifics, likely I likely cannot share specific links because I don't have them. But if you do have any questions about anything, just let me know. I'm just letting you guys know in advance though that a lot of stuff I won't be able to link. So just giving you that heads up. In here we have a little pantry, which is really not stocked with anything besides liquids. Just a shit ton of recess drinks. I do love this kitchen so much though, because there's so much space, and like you can see the there's like the pull-out shelf there, which is really, really nice. And the pull-out trash bins. I just love this kitchen so much. I really do love this house. I love my landlord. I love the house. And I'm really glad that I got to fulfill my dream of living in a townhouse. I don't think I'll plan to come back here though. It's just too far out of the way from where I like am realizing I want to be. And there's just nothing really here for me. I don't think at least I'll come back, but you never know with me. Don't believe any word I say about future plans, because they often change, as we all know. And then heading down to the first floor, the entryway floor, I have this little setup here. I love this house so much. When you come down to the entryway though, there's a little coat closet here, which is nice for some extra storage. And then the garage, which is just full of random stuff at this point. I'm starting to put stuff in here that like I'm either selling or going to be putting in storage, but yeah, there's nothing crazy in the garage. I don't even use it for my own car. And then this was another project this was like the most recent project I finished, but it's still like, it was finished back in June probably. I was trying to find an entryway table for this space for so long, because this is very, very long entryway, and I could never find anything that fit the space like I wanted it to. And then this is actually a Pottery Barn piece, despite it looking very rustic and vintage and having that apothecary style compartments or drawers. But this is actually a Pottery Barn piece. You could get this on their site, but I found it on Facebook Marketplace for significantly cheaper, and I love it. So this is the entryway. Doing this is making me out of breath. Anyway, moving on. This is all like utilities closet, just hidden away. We have the second half bath down here, nothing crazy. And then another room that we never really finished, but we do still have our white couch. I always get questions about whether we still have this couch or not. We do still have it because we are obsessed with it. I do not want to get rid of this couch, despite not knowing if I will need it in the next place I live or not, but this couch is like beyond comfortable. I do not want to get rid of it at all because it is the best couch ever. It's just, it was too big for upstairs, so we put it down here. And we originally wanted to do like a whole TV setup down here as well, but we never got around to it. I also still have the original console table I had in the entryway that I posted about a while ago too. This is a really great find that I got on Facebook Marketplace too. I still have that. I just put it behind the couch for now. These were a Facebook Market find back in Florida, and I clearly never got around to doing anything with those. And then right off of this room, we have my office, which one of the selling points that made me want this house in particular was this room in particular and the French doors, which I love. The funny thing is I used this space a lot when we first moved in and was down here like almost every day working. And then in June when we broke up, I haven't used it until this week. So I'm fine with that because I needed to switch up my environment, and being down here in the same routine that I was for so long, I had to switch it up. So I'm glad that I did that. I don't regret that, but it's just funny how I really wanted this space or this house in particular for this space, and I literally haven't used it for the past 3 months. So that's a learning lesson for me. Yeah, my desk. Love my desk too. This was a $50 Facebook Marketplace find. Will be keeping this because this is an amazing find. I love this desk so much. But yeah, this is like the office. So I think we covered all the inches of the house. I love it here. I do. I love it, but there will be another house. We are not attached to the house. So there will be another house, there will be another townhouse if I want to live in a townhouse. But I'm glad that I've spent my time here. I'm glad with the time that I've had here, or I'm glad to have had the time that I've had here, despite it being a hard past couple of months. But still so many great memories in this place, and I do really love it. It's the first place that truly felt like home. And I'm still so out of breath, but I am so thankful for that. However, it is just time for me to move on and to downsize, especially if it's just me. And I'm following that calling of going back to Florida, and I'm very excited for that. And that will be coming up in a month. So I'm really hoping that I will edit this video and upload it ASAP. And I really want to get back into vlogging. I know I always say that, but it is very hard to do when you are not in the rhythm of doing so. More so for me, it's not hard to film, it's hard to edit because I do not like the editing. So it is definitely not as easy to get back into the rhythm of that and consistently uploading, because also editing takes a lot of time. But I do love filming, and I want to continue filming and sharing my life, even if it's not just for like people, but it's for me to look back on these memories. That's why I always get the urge to want to film or like pick back up with filming when I move. And I don't really think I've missed a move with vlogging because I do like looking back on those memories. So I'm really glad that like I have vlogged almost every move that I've done because I have those videos to look back on, and just like the craziness of how much I've moved in the past several years. So it's funny how life goes, but life isn't meant to be too serious, and that's just how I'm trying to live. I was taking it way too serious before. Life is not meant to be so serious, and I don't want it to be serious. So if you do, that's fine. Trust me, that is totally fine. But for me, I don't want that. I want to enjoy life now and have fun and like follow this calling of going back to Florida. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. So I really would like to get in the habit of keeping up with filming everything and documenting the moving process and like how I'm feeling, and also just to see the comparison of how I talk, like how I talk about moving and how I talk about Florida differently in comparison to last year would be like so crazy to see back to back, because I'm sure there's a huge difference in terms of how I'm even speaking about Florida now versus then. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to go do a little body shower and start to unwind for the day. And I'm going to be a literal, what's it called? I'm going to rot. I'm going to rot for the rest of the day on my couch and watch Gilmore Girls for the rest of the day. So that's the plan. I'm going to have a lovely Sunday evening, and I hope you guys have a lovely day whenever you are watching this. Subscribe, and I will talk to you guys hopefully soon.